I told my boss I couldn't work overtime, so he showed up at my house. When I opened the door expecting to get fired, I found him holding a casserole dish and tears in his eyes, saying he'd just learned I was taking care of my dying mother and wanted to help however he could. This happened last month when I'd been struggling to balance my job at the accounting firm with caring for Mom during her final stages of pancreatic cancer. I'd been leaving work exactly at 5 p.m. every day for weeks, turning down overtime requests without explaining why, because I'm a private person who doesn't share personal details. My boss, Mike, had been getting increasingly frustrated with my refusal to stay late during our busy tax season, but I couldn't tell him the real reason behind my schedule. Mom needed help with everything: medications every 4 hours, doctor appointments, basic daily tasks like eating and bathing, and I was her only family member living nearby. On Friday, Mike asked me to work the weekend to finish a big client project, and I had to say no again without giving any details about my situation. "This is the third time this month, Sarah," he said, clearly annoyed and losing patience. "Your work ethic has really declined lately, and clients are starting to notice." I just nodded and left at 5 p.m. sharp to get home to Mom, who'd been having a particularly difficult week with pain management and nausea from treatments. Saturday evening around 6 p.m., my doorbell rang unexpectedly, and I panicked thinking it might be an emergency or bad news from the hospital. When I opened the door, Mike was standing there holding a large casserole dish with aluminum foil covering it and looking completely different from his usual professional demeanor. "Mike, what are you doing here?" I asked, completely confused and worried about getting in trouble for my recent work performance. His eyes were red and watery, and he looked genuinely upset about something I couldn't understand or had never seen from him before. "Sarah, I am so sorry," he said, his voice cracking with emotion. "I had no idea what you were going through at home." I stared at him blankly, having no clue what he was talking about or how he'd even gotten my home address since I'd never given it to anyone. "Your mother's hospice nurse called the office looking for you yesterday," he explained. "She mentioned you were the primary caregiver for a terminal cancer patient." My heart sank because I'd kept Mom's condition completely private from everyone at work for months, trying to maintain professional boundaries. "I looked up your emergency contact information and realized it was your mother's address," Mike continued. "I drove by and saw the hospice care van in the driveway. I started crying because I'd been carrying this enormous burden alone for so long without anyone at work understanding my impossible situation. This casserole is from my wife," Mike said gently, holding out the dish. "She wanted you to have a home-cooked meal you don't have to worry about preparing tonight." Mike told me he'd lost his own father to cancer 5 years ago and understood exactly what I was going through with the sleepless nights and constant worry. "Take all the time you need," he said with genuine compassion. "Your job will be here when you're ready, and we'll handle the overtime coverage without you." He also mentioned that the company had bereavement policies I didn't know about and offered to help me apply for family medical leave. Sometimes the people we think don't care are just waiting for the chance to show their compassion when they finally understand what's really happening.